My name is Richard. I've built companies, won awards, and filled my days with numbers and meetings. People call me a self-made man, but I've never believed in that term. No one makes themselves alone. There's always someone you owe everything to. For me, that someone was Sydney. I adopted her when she was a baby. She had no mother, no father, at least not that I was told. I never asked many questions. The lawyer said the woman couldn't raise the child, that she had signed the forms, and that everything was legal. It was the simplest way to explain something that felt enormous. One moment I was a man with a hollow house. The next, I was holding a 5-month-old girl with dark eyes and a bracelet around her wrist that said Carol. I never changed the name on it, never even removed it. Something about that tiny thing felt sacred, like it belonged to her past. Maybe one day she'd want to know. Sydney grew up fast, sharp-minded, independent, with the kind of confidence I had to fake at her age. I raised her the best I could, just the two of us. Her mother was never in the picture. When people asked about it, I told them the truth. She passed before Sydney could walk. But I didn't tell them everything. I didn't tell them I was afraid every day that I wasn't enough for her. I didn't tell them about the nights I stood in her doorway wondering if she'd grow up resenting me, if someday she'd want to know whose eyes she really had. 15 years later, she still wore that bracelet. I met Janice on an ordinary night. She was sitting on a bench near the bus stop, her bag at her feet like someone who no longer knew what direction to face. I almost kept walking, but something, her stillness maybe, made me stop. "Are you okay, Mom?" I asked. She told me she was fine. I didn't believe her. There was a sadness in her voice I'd heard only once before, back when I lost my own mother. The kind of sorrow that settles deep and doesn't leave. I sat beside her, even though she didn't ask me to. We didn't say much at first. I didn't know who she was. I just knew that she shouldn't be out there alone. "My name's Richard," I told her. "I live a few streets from here." She said her name was Janice. She looked like someone who had been holding a story inside for too long. I offered her something small, a job. I had no idea what it would become. Just a cleaner, someone to help me keep the place together. I gave her my address and told her to say I sent her. I never expected her to show up, but she did. My daughter, Sydney, opened the door. I heard her voice, warm and bright, say, "That's my father, so you must be the new cleaner." Janice froze. I saw her face go pale like the world shifted under her feet. She didn't speak much that day, but something had changed in her eyes, like recognition or fear. I didn't press her. I should have. Over the next few days, she became part of the house. She was quiet, careful, always observing. Sydney liked her. I did too. There was a calmness to her, a gentle kind of grace I hadn't realized the house was missing. Then one night, I found her holding a bracelet in her hands. A baby's bracelet. She didn't know I was watching. One evening, I went to her room. I had to tell her the truth. About Sydney. About the adoption. I told her my daughter is adopted. I never met her biological mother. The lawyer handled it all. I saw her face fall. She asked me, "Do you know where the adoption came from? What town?" I told her I didn't know. That's when she pulled out the baby bracelet. "Carol," it said. The name on the one Sydney had. The same. She looked at me and whispered, "Richard, I think Sydney might be my daughter." Everything stopped. It was impossible, but also not. Sydney's age, the timing, the bracelet, the way Janice looked at her when she thought no one saw. We agreed to do a DNA test. I handled everything. My hands trembled as I held the envelope when it finally arrived. I read it before Janice did. It was true. She was Sydney's mother. I didn't know how to feel. For years I'd been her father, and I still was. But now she had another piece of herself back. I didn't know what Sydney would say, but I knew what I had to do. When Sydney walked in, I handed her the paper. She read it. She turned pale. Then Janice said the words that shattered the silence. "I was your mother." I saw Sydney's mouth open, then close again. Her voice broke. "No, is that true?" Janice nodded. She was crying. Sydney crossed the room and embraced her. I had never seen her cry like that. I stood there, unsure what to do. Then Sydney turned to me and said something that made me feel like I could breathe again. "You'll always be my father, too." Weeks passed. Janice told Sydney stories about her past, about her birth father, about who she had been before she was taken. Sydney listened. She cried. She laughed. And Janice, she glowed in a way I hadn't seen before. Not since the day I met her on that bench. One morning, I looked at her across the breakfast table. She was making coffee. Her hair was loose. Her hands, calm. I saw a peace on her face and I realized I didn't want her to leave. "I want to marry you," I said. She looked at me like I'd just spoken in another language. Then her eyes filled again, but with something else, something softer. We started a new life together. The three of us. Me, Hooray, Janice, Sydney. Maybe we didn't all begin as family, but we chose each other. And sometimes, that choice is even stronger than blood.